Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Thank you friends for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story. Customer argues that his warranty should carry over to a new tool, but the employee's manager confirms it doesn't. Employee warns the customer that his warranty is now void. The second story. Tenant complains of recurring issues in the basement, but the landlord doesn't fix it. Tenant threatens to call the city inspector. The landlord says go ahead. Inspector finds multiple violations. The third story. Employee deals with a childish, rage-prone boss who insists on being called Daddy Cool. Employee finally gives in and addresses him as such, much to the amusement of colleagues and customers. Today's first story is, my manager is mistaken? Hope nothing happens to your replacement. For small background, I work customer service for one of the two big hardware stores. Not gonna outright say it for obvious reasons. And I, along with one coworker, were working around the desk, and my manager in his office when this happened. We handle returns, exchanges, price adjustments, etc. You name it, the service desk is the first place you go. Last night, a guy came in with a small power tool, as well as our extended warranty booklet and his original receipt. He bought it here just over a year ago, and he purchased the 2-year store warranty to go with the manufacturer warranty. However, his tool just died recently and can't get it back on. Because of its price point, I confirm in the booklet that it's something we replace instead of send out for repair, as well as confirm on his original receipt that it has the warranty information at the bottom, as it has an authorization number to use and such necessary for the warranty complaints. And so I get someone who works down with the tools to bring one up for me to replace. He brings it up, and as I start the refund process, the customer asks me, the warranty still covers this tool, right? I answer him no, it does not. Since the warranty was assigned to that particular tool he's returning, he will have to purchase a new warranty for the new tool. I think you're wrong. Excuse me? Yeah, I buy a lot of stuff from here. Every other tool I have, the warranty carries over. At this point, my coworker who's up there with me backs me up and says no, a new tool has to get a new warranty if you want protection, and the customer again claims we're wrong. So I say, well, let me go check with my manager just to be sure, and I walk over and ask my manager to confirm. To me, a new one has to be purchased. With that in mind, I go back to the desk and explain my manager confirmed a new one has to be purchased. He's mistaken. What? I purchased 2-year protection, which goes on top of the 1-year manufacturer warranty, so I should get 3 years total. It's been just over a year and a half on this tool, and so with my purchase I get another year and a half to carry over to this new one. I again repeat I'm sorry, but my manager assured me a new one has to be purchased to receive the warranty, but the customer doesn't want to hear it. My manager is mistaken. So I go back to my manager, tell him what the customer told me, and he tells me it's like $11 to purchase a new protection warranty. Just reduce the price of the tool that much so it can even out the cost of the new warranty. I felt this was unjust, but I'm already over the issue and just want the customer gone, so my coworker and I can get back to cleaning. As I walk back up there, I start, so my manager said. I don't care what the manager said, he's mistaken. I buy a lot of things here and I know this is how it's done. I just want the tool to be replaced. I'm not spending more money on a new warranty since mine still has a year left on it. So I asked just to be sure, so you just want me to exchange this tool? And the customer says yes. So I do my job, as I'm told by the customer to make him happy, as all managers say when someone is difficult, and simply refund the old tool and recharge for the new one. He takes his booklet, original receipt, new tool, and leaves thinking he has 1 extra year of warranty left. Now void because I refunded the old tool that it was attached to. While I tell my coworker my manager literally offered to give him another 3 years free, but since he cut me off and just wanted an exchange, that is exactly what I gave him. Hope your tool works longer this time. When your product stops working, you call the warranty number and they give you the refund for your remaining days, and you go to the store to get the item replaced. He did not follow those instructions and instead made up his own. I didn't decide. Store policy is, and he could get refunded if he called the warranty division first like he was supposed to. My store and exchange is literally the same process as return and rebill. Edit. Somewhere in this, people are gathering the store screws people over on their warranties, so I figured I'd make an edit and explain my store. We do not refund warranties. We do not roll over warranties. We sell warranties. This customer would have to call the warranty number that's not only on the receipt, but the warranty packet he was supplied with so he can receive a refund for the remaining days of his warranty. It is neither my or my store's responsibility to make the customer read the packet they receive. We explain what the warranties cover and answer questions as best we can. I don't make the policy. I don't even agree to the policy, but it is what it is. Customers should read the info or listen to what employees and managers tell them about the proper procedure. This particular customer, in all of his knowledge, somehow thinks we roll over the warranty despite his own source of information saying otherwise. There was no method of correcting him. It is not what he wanted to hear, plain as that. I do not refund or roll over warranties. My coworkers do not refund or roll over warranties. My managers do not refund or roll over warranties. Unless it is within the first 30 days, then we can refund. It is not done in my store and we're not capable of doing it. Store policy can be ridiculous. Call the hardware stores in your area and complain about it. That's about all I got to say on it. Thanks if you read it this far. Customers believe they know the company's policies better than the employees who have been trained to follow them. Customer insisted that he didn't need to purchase a new warranty and that his manager was mistaken. Even though the manager had offered to give the customer an extra 3 years of protection, the customer was unwilling to listen and simply wanted an exchange. It's a shame that the customer didn't take the opportunity to receive an additional 3 years of warranty for just $11, but perhaps they were too set in their ways to consider a different perspective. Store policy on warranties is not something that OP has control over, and they're just trying to do their job to the best of their ability. The next story is, our landlord told me go ahead, call the city inspector, so I did. This 2018, I just moved to a new apartment. It was a 3-bedroom first-floor apartment and it had a finished basement. It had 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen on the first floor. It also had a bedroom with a full bath in the basement and a bar and gaming area. It was also in a very nice area of the city. The apartment was owned by a corporation. Honestly, we loved that apartment, until it kept having recurring issues in the basement. The carpet was wet from time to time, as the first landlord would send a cleaner to come and handle it, but it keeps happening. I asked them to check and fix the issue. They did not do it. I told them I'll call the city inspector to check the building. They laughed at me and told me go ahead, call the inspector, so I did. I called the city twice until I finally was connected to the right department, and they sent an inspector a week later. The inspector found so many building violations. They told me they'd contact the building owner and would come again. The next day, the owner called and begged me to tell them what I know about the problem with the apartment. I told them that I sent complaints multiple times. They should check their record. The city inspector, the owner, and the property manager came 2 weeks after that. The city inspector was whooping their A's. He laid it to them, it was so bad. They have to deal with structural and foundational issues and some safety issues too. There were 4 tenants in that building, including us. Imagine it was a big colonial and multi-family home divided into 4 apartments. They had to break the lease with all of us to fix the building. They couldn't fix it with us being there. We were ready and already consulted a lawyer. We told them that. We want our deposit back before moving out. They paid for all of our moving expenses. They paid for our deposit at the next place. They could not kick us out. They could not rent the apartment after the inspections. There were 4 of us and we could all sue them for placing us in a dangerous building. In the end, they spent so much money to relocate us and fix the apartment. Edit. The other tenants received money and compensation from the landlord too. They also got their moving costs covered as well. I did not make them homeless. Some of them thanked me. We moved to a new neighborhood that was only 5 minutes walk to my office. It was a single-family house. We loved that neighborhood, it was so friendly. We stayed there for a year until we bought our house. The rent was actually cheaper. The building was owned by a corporation, so when I say landlord, it refers to the owner plus property manager. So it was a company that owned almost a quarter of our city. When I said landlord, it refers to the owner of the company and property manager. I don't know if the property manager still has the job. Their renters are mostly college students or international students that are too afraid to push back. I hope they learn their lesson. You have issues with your apartment and your landlord doesn't take them seriously. OMG. But in this case, the tenant took matters into their own hands and called the city inspector. And it turns out the landlord had plenty to worry about, with building violations and safety issues galore. Landlord and property manager must have been sweating bullets when they met with the inspector and had to face the consequences of their neglect. But the tenants didn't let them off the hook easily. They demanded their deposit back, paid moving expenses, and more. It's cool to see tenants standing up for themselves and getting the compensation they deserve. And in the end, the tenants even ended up finding a better, cheaper place to live. Let this be a lesson to landlords everywhere. Take your tenants' concerns seriously or face the consequences. The last story is, you will address me by my new name. I once worked for the second most toxic man I've ever known. This was a small business of him, the owner, myself, and my long-suffering colleague. So he was in complete control with no one to report to. My boss was an absolute man-child who would launch into hour-long absolute SH fits of pants-soiling fury over the smallest inconvenience, and then as soon as his problem was solved would act frustrated and sulky that we weren't all celebrating his victory. He would have these tantrums several times a week. Our shop was on a high street. I felt bad for our business neighbors having to put up with it. It's only now, years later, I remember we had students' flats above us as well. When my boss wasn't risking detonating his own nads into a fine red Mr. Rage, he was otherwise insufferable. He would also frequently get hyper and giddy and make fun of us, lost in a fit of giggles while calling us nonces. Or he would decide that some new form of honor should be bestowed on him, like we should be made to call him Sir or Master or Darth. Seriously, imagine a man that has never in his life held a stick or pole without swinging it around making lightsaber noises. Once day he decides we're to call him Daddy Cool. We argue and resist and oh for X's sakes at him, but he is insistent that we are all to refer to him henceforth as Daddy Cool. I step away from the insanity to take my lunch in the basement. I chill a little and my own anger settles to weary resignation. Dangerous, perilous, weary resignation. I climb the steps from the basement. I burst through the door and bellow in my stage voice, Daddy Cool. Customers are in the shop being tended to by my boss. I ignore them. My colleague crumples into hysterics, gasping OMG between breaths. We've run out of XYZ, Daddy Cool. We should order some of UVW, also Daddy Cool. I address him as Daddy Cool for days until he's like, okay, alright, that's enough. Actually, no, I continue to refer to him as Daddy Cool well beyond him begging me to stop, and several more times as necessary over the years when a reminder is necessary. Edit to add. I left after 5 years there. My next boss basically offered me a job based on his experience as a customer. As a lot of people said they recognized, people who suffer abuse often internalize it and believe the way they are treated is what they deserve, as well as having the energy and motivation to change things sapped from you. Without this sort of life raft offer, I would have been there a lot longer. Next boss turned out to be extremely manipulative and tried to coerce me into doing illegal stuff. I decided I had to leave after a couple of years. I made the mistake of saying I was going to be looking for other work and he fired me the next day. The next 2 jobs also had problematic managers and I'm looking for a new job again now. I've had a few years of counseling. I'm much better and happier now. PTSD hasn't come up in that time. I would have thought it would have by now, but I will ask next time. The worst person I've ever met is my dad. My boss. I don't know enough to say regarding bipolar or BPD, so I'll defer to the people who commented from experience. Most of our regular customers had an idea of what he was like. Several came in to find him mid-meltdown. My boss was comparatively restrained even towards the most aggressive customers, so he could control himself or at least delay his outbursts. I'm not sure what that says about bipolar or BPD. I've only ever seen him go unfiltered rage explosion on people he knew well. He had some semblance of restraint and self-preservation. He was never physically violent, but I've also seen him in states when his own eyeballs were trying to escape their sockets to work independently of him to strangle coworkers or his friends. Sometimes the best way to deal with a difficult situation is with humor. Some people in positions of power abuse their authority and subject their employees to unnecessary stress and humiliation. It's terrible. However, OP's response to the situation is a perfect example of how to deal with such individuals. Rather than succumbing to the boss's demands or quitting the job, OP found a way to push back in a humorous yet assertive manner. Subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching and have a good day.